step of the way. Shit. I'm like, yo, what? The feds. Yeah.
Yo, you should have seen your face, bro. Almost looked like you was about to run for real. I'm like, bro, it looked like you was about to...
I'm like, bro, like, yeah. Then I'm just like, oh, no, the feds, bro. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, my God, yo, that shit was funny. Yo, anyways, I just went ahead and started the recording because I'll go ahead and edit everything out before the beginning. But anyways, yeah, for some reason, it never used to do that before. That's the crazy thing. Like every time I've done like fucking 90 interviews on here, and I've literally only the past like 3 has it started like talking out loud, like now recording. I'm like, God damn. I'm like, that should be scaring me every time because I'll be forgetting. So
yeah,
real. But yeah, man. So we just gonna have dope little conversation. There's no like limits per se. Only rules I have on the podcast is don't talk bad about anybody else, and that's pretty much it. Aside from that, we good, But yeah, man, we're just gonna talk about your music, talk about life, where you're from, where you grew up. Feel free to be as open as you want to be or as close as you want to be. Either way, we're gonna vibe out. So
serious.
Hell yeah. So it'll probably be about like 30, 45 minutes. And yeah, let's get to it. I'll do a little 3, 2, 1, and then I'll introduce myself and go from there. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy CIZZY. You dig? Live action. You already know where we are at, and I am back with another episode of the Culture Talk Show with a dope guest. And I tell you guys every week, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna bring back a dope guest, and I ain't lied to y'all yet. So once again, on September 24th, 2021 at 6:14 p.m. Central, we got a dope guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself, my brother.
Yes, sir. Damo FYE in the fucking building. You already know what the deal is. Fight your ego, find your ego. You got to do both. It's all about balancing here. You already know what the deal is. WAP gang and affiliates. We in the cuts, doing something, cooking up. So what's up?
I love it. And you jumped right into the few things we were going to cover early in this podcast anyway. So if you look at your Instagram, if ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are out there and you guys already know Damo or know of Damo, or you're finding out right now and you're going to follow him, you're going to see FYE here and there throughout his page on his Instagram handle. So you kind of just mentioned it there, but can you talk about what that stands for and what that means to you?
Yeah, for sure. So fight your FYE stands for fight your ego, and it also stands for find your ego. So it's pretty much a duality that comes with it, where it's fight your ego because you can't. Well, honestly, you got to find your ego because you have to have that sense of self and that sense of self-worth, because a lot of times I feel like we've gotten to the point where the world starts to kind of confuse things and we start to make our own definitions for things. So ego, if you look up the definition for ego, it literally is like self-worth and like your self-value. So it's wild that a lot of times people will tell you to like kill your ego or things like that. And it's like, if you do that, then you would allow anything, like you would just, all right, allow yourself to get stepped on and like be a doormat for anybody. And it's like, that's not really what we're here for. So you got to step into your ego and figure out who you are. But then you also have to fight that. You get to a certain level where you know who you are and people start to know who you are. And you got to be able to level yourself out and realize that, yes, you are a God, but we're all gods. We all out here gods. So it's just one of those things where we literally walk amongst gods. So yeah, your power, their power, everybody's got power. And it's one of those things where you just got to balance it out to realize that you can't be too full of yourself at any time, but you also can't allow other people to get over on you just because you want to be quote unquote humble. A lot of people,
right.
That.
Right. No, I feel that. I love that. It's like, it's a I like the choice of words when you said duality. Like you got to leverage it. You can leverage it for good or you can leverage it for bad. But knowing how to do, how to manage it, the negative portions of it or the negative manifestations of ego, learning how to manage that and put that to the side, but then learning how to leverage and utilize, the positive sides of ego to benefit yourself, society, the community around you. So I really like that. And you also mentioned WAP Gang affiliate out here
Yeah,
doing things, mysterious things, bringing some, very beautiful sounds and rhythms to your ear. Do you
yeah, yeah.
want to talk about who WAP Gang is? Where did WAP Gang come from? What does it stand for? Some of you guys, if you're listeners that are committed and consistent, we've had 2 people affiliated with WAP Gang on the show before. So go ahead and drop your affiliation and share what that means to you and how it came about.
So WAP Gang, Wild and Peaceful. It's another form of duality that we stand in and stand by. It's a whole family of us. There's a lot of affiliates. There's a lot of people that are, but it's mostly built around about, I believe, 6 to 8 artists. Literally, like the whole WAP Gang is built around the artistry, and it's more of a collective than it is a group, or like some people kind of call us like a group or something like that. And it's like, I mean, we are a group of people, but like at the same time, we're just a collective that we hold each other accountable, but at the same time, we're trying to help each other just flourish and build in it. So we got Damo FYE, we got Saint Civ, we got Savvy, we have Raya, we have Key, we have Sunny Fasado, we have Shabazz, we have Bazzy Star Stuff. When we get that right, we got Jiggy. He be in the cuts, and I'm hoping that I'm not forgetting anybody. That's 8, so I think that I got everybody. And literally, shout out to Bump. That's the OG. We were working out of his basement for the longest. That was our HQ. Now we're moving on to some other things, trying to figure out how to continue to flourish and build, continue to build. So, we just, we moving right now. Like literally, we got some things cooking in the next like month or two. That like I'm excited to talk about. I don't know, like some of the gang might be mad if I start spilling all of the beans, but I might give a couple of little tidbits of knowledge.
I love it. I love it. And you mentioned Civ, you mentioned Bump. Those are 2 individuals we've had on the podcast before and that some of our listeners are familiar with. So could you please share kind of how you came in contact with those 2 individuals? Like how did you meet them? How did you build your guys' initial relationships? And then we'll jump kind of into your music.
Yeah, for sure. So Saint Civ, that's my brother. Like, we met through school, but we became close through Louder Than a Bomb. It was a poetry competition that was running throughout the city, and in Raytown, we had a team at Raytown High School where we went to school or whatever. But Civ, he was not on our team. That was the thing. He was on a different team. He was on a team with his cousins, KC Poetry, and we ended up going to a competition, to their bout, and seeing them performing stuff. And we were like, yo, like, we know that dude. Like, he go to our school. Like, we're telling like the coaches and stuff. So when the next day we had a meeting, we had him come through. And like literally we pretty much poached him. We was like, nah, fam, like come over here. Like, y'all, I did great. Y'all didn't move on. Like, come on, go ahead and slide to this team. So from that point forward, we became like really like 2 peas in the pod. A lot of times, whenever it came to just like creative, like just making the creative juices flow and do things like that, I could always count on Civ to just like, we always bounce off of each other. Like he'll have an idea and I'll be able to finish it, or vice versa type things, where it's just like he was that initial twin where it's just like, oh yeah, we're the yin to each other's yang, but we come with different approaches. So it was always really dope just coming up with him. Like we went through the whole poetry ranks together. I literally went through pretty much, like, whenever I became homeless, like before I was homeless, I was staying with him. Like literally, he was who kept me, like him and some of his family is like what kept me from being homeless for a while. And then it got to the point where like then I was homeless. We was still rocking through all of that time. Like that's my brother. Like I can't say enough about him, you know. So and then Bump, OG Bump, that's you know, like that's a crazy connection because it really started through like while I was homeless. I had like a couple of friends that like I would just link up with and we would smoke and, you know, tap in and do things like that. But I was always on my music. Like, so I would always be trying to freestyle, or I would be showing them a song or something like that. And one of my homies, Paige, she like, so pretty much I got cool with Jiggy, and like pretty much within 3 weeks of me being cool with Jiggy, him and his family offered to like pretty much let me take refuge at their house. So like that's just like we were just like running together and stuff. And Paige, she pretty much like we would be smoking with her and doing things like that. All right. And we would always be freestyling with like, and she'd be in the car and she'd see how our chemistry, and we would just bounce off each other. Cause that was the thing, was Jiggy was one of the only people that like at first nobody was really freestyling with me. A lot of people, like whenever I would start freestyling, people would just kind of sit there because they like, nah, bro, I'm not, like, I'm trying to have fun and it seemed like you serious. And I'm like, nah, bro, I'm just so it's just like, but he was always one that had that confidence. That's why I always told him like, damn, you gotta, bro, think about writing or something, you know? So but pretty much we would freestyle and she was just like, yo, like y'all are dope. Like, but my stepdad, he's got like a you know, a studio in his basement, in the basement of our house. Like y'all should come through. And like actually she had just came back into town from like from out of town or something like that. And it was just like, she's like, yo, let's link up. And so we linked up with him and we were down there, and it was just like an instant, like, you know, connection of like minds of just knowing that like what we want out of life and just trying to get it as much as possible. So it was just like we all just bounced off of each other, and with the music and everything like that, it was just a natural connection. So we started, like, it wasn't long after that, like we just like chilled, smoked that first time, didn't even really talk music that much, but I think I did show a little bit of music. But it wasn't until like pretty much like a day or two after that, Paige like gave me his number, because she was like, yo, he told me to give you his number. It's like, all right, cool. And then maybe like a week or so passes, and then I'm like, Jiggy, I think we should slide back to bro's house. Like, you seem cool. He's like, all right, let's do it. And so we did, like, and we slid through, and it was just like from there, it just kind of like built into this thing where like the third time we slid through, I think he finally just like pulled the mic out, like, all right, so what's up? And then because we're kind of just like playing it, trying to play it cool, like, yo, we know you got the stuff, but like we don't want to just like walk in and be like, yo, like, so, you know, it was just like a wanting to have a respect of just like, yo, if you just like allowing us to smoke here, then cool, like that's more than a lot of people offer us anyway. So we was just like taking what we could get, and then it became like, yo, nah, like let's record, like, you know, like, and it got to the point where it was like at least once a week, me and Jiggy would have like designated days where we're going through to the studio, and we're cooking up for about probably like 2 years before WAP Gang was even a thing, you know. So, and it was just like me, Jiggy, and Savvy. Savvy was like, because Savvy is literally Bump's son, so it's like literally like just like a really a family thing within that. So but yeah, like literally just over time, like it got to the point where Raya, like she's always been connected and been around, like she's like connected to their family and things like that. And she's seeing the things that we're doing, and she's like, yo, like, she came to me with the idea, really, like she says that we both came up with it, but I remember specifically like her texting me like, yo, so y'all be at the studio, we be coming through to the studio, I got a couple other friends that like, what if we just linked all of us together and did something, you know? And I was just like, yo, what's up? Like, that sounds beautiful to me, you know? And from that point forward, we kind of all linked up, and that became HQ for a while. And we were all just cooking up out of there, just hammering things out as much as possible. And it's just like, it's been a beautiful process. Like, it's definitely all love to Bump, because like, bro, the whole time he definitely just opened his space to us and just let us, like kind of run wild and like really turn into our own little safe haven.
I love it. I love it. Shout out to Bump, man. That was when he came onto the show, he really, shared a lot of beautiful insights about, things he's experienced in his life, the things he loves about Kansas City and the people, and, from him not being originally from here. And it's good to see that, how that whole situation came about was just kind of natural evolution, a natural evolution of timing, people interested in creative art, and everyone just, communicating and coming together to, create some beautiful relationships and also music. So that's super dope. So I want to talk about, your background a little bit more. So, I know you might have mentioned you grew up in Raytown, but where's home for you? What part of the city is home for you? What was life like growing up? Were you a student? Did you love school? Did you love math? Were you an athlete? Were you a running back? What's like before music became a really, really big part of your life? What were your interests and what were you spending your time doing?
So, like I grew up like Kansas City slash Raytown, like just bouncing in and out, just depending on the weekend. Like I was always at cousins' houses. I was like my mom's, like she just got to the point where she moved us out of Raytown just because, out of Kansas City, trying to, like do that,
the transition everyone does.
Mom thing of like, yo, we got to go from the hood to the nicer place, and like, so it was like, all right, cool. So we were out here, but I was always still connected with the city, just running around with my cousins, doing things like that. But because like literally, if I wasn't with my cousins, like I was sheltered as hell. Like my mom's, like she just kept us in church, she kept us in school and at the crib, pretty much. Like it was hard to get outside the house just to play sometimes. Like, and if you was going outside to play, you wasn't getting off the block. So, it's just very, very much a sheltered upbringing. But I always was like a smart kid, I guess. Like they always told me I was a smart kid and so like capable or whatever, but like I was never great at school. I was good at tests. I love tests. Like I would turn them into games, but like I didn't like the process of school. Like I didn't realize it until I'm like, pretty much out of school type shit. But it's just one of those things where the homework and the like having to work at other people's paces. Like I'm the guy that like I would sit there the first day that you would do that you would bring up the game, the lesson plan or whatever. I would sit there and look at it, and you'd be all up on the board, and everybody's supposed to be taking notes. I'm not taking no notes. I'm just looking. And I'm like, all right, bet. Like, and then I do that first assignment. I do that, and I'm not doing no homework, none of that. And then once it gets to the test, I'm a ace the test, and they gonna have to retest me again because they like, nah, he's cheating. He had to cheat. There's no way, like he didn't do any of the homework. He didn't do the review, none of that. Like literally he's got a D in this class right now. How did he get a 97 on the test? And it's like, no, like they started to realize that it was just one of those things where I was just one of those. And it was like, yo, I'm not doing this.
my boy said they started to realize that I was one of them. Yeah, I'm that guy. Nah, I love it. No, that's real though. I think a lot of people, like a similar story that I've heard across a lot of guests is that like everyone learns so differently, yet the problem with the system, the educational system, is that they only allow you to learn in one way. If you don't learn the way that they want you to learn, then you are a failure, then you won't pass your classes, then you're non-compliant, whatever it might be that they say. And I think everyone just has their own learning processes, and that's why people realize when they're older that they're actually not dumb. They smart as shit, and they kind of knew they were smart as shit all along, but teachers and sometimes parents and other classmates are always clowning on you because you might have a D or never be at school or whatever. But it's like, nah, man, everyone has their own learning process, and unfortunately the educational system hasn't adapted to that. So I feel that a lot. What about sports? Were sports are a part of your life growing up?
Yeah, for sure. I was always like hella competitive growing up. I've always had a competitive fire about me. So anything that I could play that I like could figure out how to play, I was in there trying to play. Like organized wise, it was always like football. Like I played basketball 1 year, but that was like third grade before everybody like shot up past me. So it was like, yeah, like after that, it was like over. It was, I've been the same size since third grade. Niggas don't even know. But yeah, so nah, but I was dunking on niggas back then though. But nah, so
he said on the 6 foot, boy, I was up there.
like, but nah, but nah, so but I always played football. I did karate coming up, like
Hey,
talking to the homie about that. Like my mom, she had me in karate all the way up until I pretty much like forced myself out. I was like, yo, like I'm ready to play football. Like I'm like, what's up? Like, all right, this is all cool. I got to a purple belt now. Like this is the one I wanted to get to. Like for some reason I like I wanted a purple belt. It was like the red one looked tight too, but I was like, nah, just get me to the purple and I'm ready to play football. And so like I told her that, and she's like, all right, well, we putting you in flag, because she was just like, yo, you just small, bro. Like, I don't know. And I'm like, yo, like you don't understand. But she was right, but at the same time, I literally didn't care. I was really durable to be like as small as I was playing football, because I played running back, I played corner, I played safety, but I was always like throwing my body around. I was always the one that was willing to like, yo, like somebody would be running up on me and I'm the running back and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna run over you. Like, and it's like, wait,
right. Nah,
doing?
that's real. That's real. I feel like that's why I always appreciate quote unquote shorter people, because everybody always clowning on them, but the reality is when you grow up like a little bit shorter than other people, or maybe not as stocky, whatever it might be, like
Yeah.
your mindset has to shift then, because you like, all right, well look, I can either be small, be getting thrown around like a little rag doll, or I gotta like approach this from a totally just
Like hit or
full
get
all out. Like
hit,
either
get hit.
man, either I'm about to knock myself out by trying to knock you out, or or something, or I'm trying to break your leg. I'm doing something. Like I can't just be out here getting thrown around. So I feel
Yeah.
that, man. I love it. I love it. So sports were a little bit a part of your life. Wasn't too into school. I know you mentioned at some point, earlier in this conversation, you were talking about the poetry contest, and how you came across Civ. So was
Yeah.
that a time in your life where you were starting to consider, becoming an artist, or getting into rap music or writing? What's your earliest memory of writing a song?
Mm, the earliest memory like that just popped into my head is like running around, like being with my cousins, and like literally J Boogie, Cashmere Poppy, like all of them. Like when we were coming up and just be cleaning up the house, cleaning. I'll be over at their house, we cleaning up the kitchen or something like that, or having to mop the floors. And one of them would start making a beat, and then we would literally just start rapping. And a lot of times they would just kill it, and I would just like kind of not have the confidence to go. But that's really whenever I started. I remember like kind of like going in, and I would go home and I'd be like, nah, I'm gonna kill him next time. Like the next time I'm gonna have something. So like, like I started writing around, I was probably like 9 or 10 whenever that, but I always love stages. I always love to be on stage. I love to, if I could trap you in a room and you just gotta watch me. Oh, like bet, let's do it. Like, yep, I'm gonna be in that play. I'm gonna be in the choir. I'm gonna be like whatever I just love being on stage for sure and being a performer. Like we used to have talent shows like every other Saturday at my crib type, like, and it would just be me and my brothers going against each other's, and sometimes the cousins would come through and we would show out for all the parents and stuff like that, and we're Missy Elliott and stuff, and I would cry every time that I lost, every time, like to the point they just have to start giving it to me. Like the other kids didn't like playing no more because I was the baby at the time. So it was like, fam, if I lost, I'm like, nah, fam, I don't like it. Like this is they cheating. And then like, no, he did win. He did win. And then all the other kids like, yeah, I'm not playing this no more. I'm not doing talent shows no more because Damien just gonna win. And it's just like, nah, fam. Like I've always loved to perform, and like I always cared, like really, really cared to put on a good show, I guess. So
I love that. I love that. Oftentimes, people's interests start young. People just don't realize how it's going to manifest itself later in life. So, you know, parents or older adults or, you know, your siblings or older cousins are always going to look at that like, man, he always like being entertained and then singing and all this. And they just look at it like that, but they not looking at it from like the real life career perspective of it and seeing how it's going to manifest itself when you get older. So it's really funny to hear people's stories about, you know, how they first got introduced to what they love doing now as an
Yeah,
adult.
yeah,
So
because even with that, like my music, like I didn't start really like whenever did start, like I was a teenager and I started like really getting into music hella heavy, and I'm like, yo, like I love this, like I love music, like I'm starting to learn that I really do love music. Like even if I'm wanting to play football or doing whatever, I'm like, yo, I could still write and do things like that. And then it was like, but I couldn't ever write about myself. Like I would get around my homie. Like I remember, like um I was video, like I did video at my church. Like we were at the top of the building. We would set up the cameras and stuff, and we would just like transition them as while the preacher was like giving his message. And so, but like low key, we were up there on straight fuck shit. Like there's like the preacher's son, he had left like a bunch of music on the laptop, like on the desktop that was up there. So there's a bunch of like Wayne, like old like mixtape Wayne, like just like, oh my god, like just the gold mine. And then just a bunch of like just secular music as they would call it. So we're just like bobbing to that, and then eventually we get to the point where like we start freestyling over stuff, you know, like, but it was like my friend was way better at freestyling than I was at the time. I'm like, yo, like he's like, I can't talk about myself, like I don't know what to talk about, like yo, like I'll be lying about anything that I said. I do anything. I'm sheltered. My mom lets me go to church and school, and like I barely got friends at school. Like I got a couple friends, but like at that point, you get to the point where it's like, yo, if you can't hang out outside of school, y'all not really friends. You start realizing that. But so it was just like, yeah, like I don't got much to talk about. And so, but then I remember my homie came through one day, like it was a Sunday, and he's like, bro, I got a song. Like he had texted me beforehand. He was like, yo, I got a song. My homie Jawan. Like, and he literally he runs up the stairs, I remember, and he shows like, and I'm expecting it to be like he's like, bro, I need you to be on this too, like da, 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 da. And I'm like, all right, bet. Like, so I'm expecting like something super hard, because he's like, low key, I was looked at as like the golden boy of the church, and he was like the bad boy. So it was like, all right, like I'm expecting some street stuff, and then he starts like, and it's pretty much a gospel rap, and I wish I could still find it on YouTube, but he's like, like pretty much it's about doing me in the church. Like it's like, when you see me in the church, praise the Lord, they asked me what I'm doing, and I said I'm doing me. I'm doing me. I'm doing me. I'm doing me. I remember that. Yeah. So,
I love
and
it.
I remember like I heard that, and then he had his verse or whatever, and I was just like, yo, I could do this. Like, and I remember I wrote that verse like in 15 minutes type, and we was like started showing people around the church. Everybody's like, yo, y'all gotta perform that. So my first, like, whenever I really started rapping and performing for like original content was like, you know, church, like it was very much gospel, like oriented, you know. So because I didn't know how to talk about myself or about my story, I wasn't able to do that until I heard Ambition by Wale. But the actual like Meek Mill's verse of that song literally is what taught me how to like, all right, that's how you tell a story, and like put in that juxtaposition of like what life is versus like what people think it is, and like, oh, like being able to flip the little things, and you know. So I was just being able to hear things like that. It was like, that's whenever my life really changed. And I remember just writing my first verse I wrote, and it was called Ambition. It's literally, ambition is in my veins. I doubt that will ever change. See, I came up from nothing. Now nothing is out my range. What I'm trying to obtain is way greater than fame. Don't care about dollars. If that don't make sense, let me explain. I grew up living tough with a single mother, going to sleep, sharing a bed with my older brothers, hoping times would get better while we fighting over covers. We let no one overcome us. Mama raised overcomers. We went way past the hustle, hustling just to struggle, struggling just to make it. I made it, now they can't take it away. No time to waste, my mama still got bills to pay. So seize the day, I work hard and never get to play. I'm a black kid with ambition, they gotta listen. I grind till I shine, even when the sun is missing. You get it monetarily, but that's momentary. I'm gonna last forever. I'm gonna be legendary. Like, yeah. And that was
Clap
the
for
first,
him, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter if the song's more than 5 years old. Clap for him.
you know what I'm saying? But nah, that's literally the first verse that I ever wrote, like, that like made me believe in myself as like a true like hip hop artist, in the sense of like, I don't know, I always felt novelty like doing the gospel rap stuff. But even now, like I listen to my music and I still have, like I always put my faith and stuff into my music in different ways. So it's one of those things where you still see the glimpses of it, but it's not the same. Like I was the light back then. And so it's just like I've always been the light,
I love it. I love it a lot. And you kind of shared throughout that story right there, part of the answer to this question. But could you share a little bit more about some early influences for you in hip hop that really like, early artists, maybe a song or two that really like, shook you to the core and kind of was like, yeah, man, at this moment, I'm doing rap. That's what I'm doing. I'm making music. I'm making hip hop. That's what I'm doing. Like, this is my future. Like, what music made you feel like that, or still makes you feel like
like
that? You're still young. You're still pursuing the dream. So what music, what artists make you feel like that?
So I like, it's very much phases in life that I can remember. And the first so my first favorite artist I remember is Snoop Dogg, but I feel like it was just because of the name. I feel like it was like I don't even remember thinking anything other than just like, yo, like Snoop Dogg, like, oh, dog, like hell yeah, I
Same
like.
here.
So it's just like, all right. But then it got past that, and I remember Eminem being my, like, just the animation and all of that. Like, it was like the energy, and I'm a kid and I'm like, oh my god, like this is everything. So and then I remember Eminem also, like, then 8 Mile comes out, and 8 Mile,
Yeah.
that was the first moment that I remember getting goosebumps. Like, I remember my mom, she she had got that CD. She had got, like, we would always go to Best Buy, like, and she would get a bunch of the CDs that came out like that week or whatever. And so like the 8 Mile CD that came out, and but then when we get to the car, she puts in another CD, other than, like, she knows how much and she's like, so she's going through the CDs and unwrapping them, and uh
You're good.
um,
You're good. Yeah.
but yeah, like, and unwrapping it, and like literally, like, because she would just unwrap all of them like at the same time type. So it's like you never knew which one she was gonna pop open and throw in first. And I'm just watching like, oh, please, like, yo,
Please.
and then she puts in another one. It was like, okay. So we go like most of that day just listening to that. But I remember we pull up Family Dollar that's like around the corner from my house at the time. Like we pull up there. She's about to get some. I hated going there because we were just getting cleaning appliances and shit. Like, it was.
So I feel it. Same here.
I hated going there, but like I remember us walking out and us getting back in the car, and she pulls out another CD, and I'm like trying to see which one it is. She's kind of hiding, and she just hurry up and takes the CD out, puts it in. I'm like, what is it? And then I just hit dun, dun, and it literally, like, first time I remember having goosebumps. Like, I remember just feeling like I was this, like, whatever was going on, like, this is me, So it was just like, from that point, like, I feel like that really, I didn't know what legacy was until that point. And it was like, from that point forward, it was like, hell yeah, legacy. Like, I'm gonna be a legend. I'm gonna be the greatest. I was like 7 years old, like, thinking about being the greatest of all time already, not knowing what the hell I'm gonna be great at though. So it's just like,
At least you had a glimmering of it. It's a
yeah,
glimmering of hope. You was like, I think this is
yeah.
the direction I want to go. I feel it.
And then it went into, like, once I was a teenage, like, got into my teenage years, like, Wayne, like, hella heavy, was just like, oh my goodness. Like, it was like my like preteen years. And it was like Wayne just was like going crazy. Like, and it was just like, okay, like, this is my favorite. Like, I remember getting the Carter 3, like, from Walmart. My mom made me get it from Walmart though, so it had like all the cuss words bleeped out and everything. But it was like I knew all the cuss words already because we had the regular version too. So like, I'm like, yo, like, it was all the same. Like, I think I eventually like traded out because my mom had the regular version, And I eventually like just traded it out because I'm like, you don't even listen to this as much as me. So I ended up trading it out. She didn't even notice it. But but like I remember, yeah, the Carter 3, that's whenever I was like super high on Wayne. And then Drake was I ended up going to that concert for the Carter 3. He ended up coming to Kansas City to the Sprint Center, and like he brought Drake out. Like I remember,
Damn.
I just remember I used to watch Degrassi though, so
Right.
it was like I'm watching, and he comes out and like he's walking, and I'm like, yo, first of all, like this nigga don't got legs. Like what's going on?
You're like, first thing first, brother, where is your wheelchair at, brother? I know exactly who shot you.
And so it's just like, but no, he comes and like Wayne's like, I'm looking, I'm like, I think that's him. Like, I think that's Jimmy from Degrassi. And then literally, like, I remember Wayne like stopping the song because he's singing Mrs. Officer. He's singing the Bobby Valentino part on Mrs. So I'm like, bro, that's not Bobby Valentino. And so like Wayne stops and he's like, yeah, y'all might know him as Jimmy from Degrassi, but wheelchair Jimmy, but tonight we gonna call him Drizzy Drake. And it was just like, I'm like, yo, what?
Like, what's going on?
I just watched this nigga become famous. Like,
that's exactly what you watched happen.
So I'm like,
that was probably the tour where Drake was getting introduced to the world.
Yeah, like, and so literally started my process with Drake, and then I really didn't get on to Cole until my little brother's dad. He used to like pick us up sometimes, and like pretty much he like I remember like he had this mixtape, and it was like a bunch of Cole. Like I listened to Cole's first tape, the sideline story. Like I had heard that, but it was like then like he had this tape that came out afterwards where he was about to get ready for Born Sinner, and like I'm riding around with him, and he's playing that really heavy, and I'm just listening to it, and I'm at this time into the poetry very heavy, so I'm like, bro, like this is just hit, like how he's executing this. I love it. So like I became a really, really big Cole fan. Started like really, I was into like researching the things I liked. So it was like I was very much like just researching, figuring out what like his story, like even though you could hear it through the music, I'm like, all right, now like what does that mean? Like where is that really at though? Like in different things like that. And really I feel like he's the one that really like influenced me the most to like really take that step, because I was literally about to go into college and stuff like that. And I'm listening to his music, and he's talking about having to move away and go to a college, and like, all right, but I did all of this so that I could be able to rap and do it. And I'm like, yo, like, all right, I'm gonna have to do something like that. Like so I'm literally just like in my mind already like preparing myself just based on his stories and things like that. So I would say that he's really the one that got me to the point where I was ready to step out on faith on a lot of things. It was just like, all right, like let's do it. It's like just listening to stories. So
I love it. And with that being said, with those individuals being some of your early influences, and you obviously really remember a lot of these stories and how you felt and how it made you feel from a young age. So leading up to now, I'm sure you've went through quite a few different phases and transitions of how you would describe your style of music. But as of 2021, like how would you describe, the current style of music you're creating and the current vibe and energy around the type of music you're building?
I would say it's just I like to keep the grassroots of hip hop, I like to keep that spirit of hip hop flowing for sure. I went through homelessness and things like that, and really the music is what brought me my passion and love for the music, and like just faith in the music is what got me out of it. So like a lot of times like I try to put that into my music, and so like very much hope hop, like it's not just hip hop type shit. It's like, bro, we got hope hop going, like it's very much like we try to keep the optimism and things like that, but we observe the world for what it is. So we not gonna like sugarcoat no shit. We not gonna bullshit. We not gonna bullshit around. Like if something's fucked up, we just gonna speak on it, and we gonna allow everybody else to say whether it's fucked up or not. Like we just gonna speak on the situation. And so I like to consider myself, well, not like at this point, like it's just been seen throughout my life that like I'm a prophet through my music. So that's the most important thing for me, is just like I just know that there's something in my music that has to get out. There's a story here that a lot of times I make music, I say something in a song, and I don't even know what I just said. Like, you know, it sounds dope and everything like that, and it's like, oh, it makes sense. It's not like it's just dumb or nothing like that. It's like, nah, but like then months later it comes through in like in a way where it's like, whoa, like, yo, like, wait, I wasn't meaning it like that, but now it means that, like, you know. So it's just one of those things where I know that I'm telling a story and I'm telling my story, but I don't even know how it ends. Nobody knows, like, but I know that it ends with like, you know, like greatness. Like I know that it ends with like joy and ends with happiness, because it's just like I like I'm supposed, it's supposed to, like, it's just one of those things where whenever I tell my story to people, like I can't help but like smile still, because it's just like, fam, I made it. Like I made it through that. Like as much as I can tell you about being homeless and things like that, I can tell you about it, you know, because I'm not there no more. And it's like, even if I was to ever go back there, it's like I know that, like, fam, like whenever I go through a bad situation now, it's like it's not the worst thing in the world, because it's like, fam, I've been through so much that I know that I'll overcome this. Even if it is the worst thing in the world, I'll be able to overcome it. So that's the things I try to put out to other people, and to let them know, like, you know, and stay true to yourself for real. Because that's all I like. Even with this tape, like the Damien demo tapes, that's really what it's about, is like staying true within yourself. Because for a long time I ran away from the name Damien. Like once I got Damo as a nickname, I wanted a nickname so bad. I'm like, yep, we out. Like, don't call me Damien. If you call me Damien, you from back then. Like I already know what time you on. And it's just like, nah, like honestly, I there's a lot of things about myself that I needed to go back and like reaffirm and actually like figure out, you know, like, and actually face it head on, instead of just trying to dodge it and run away. Because yeah, like it's like an anchor, like, yeah, an anchor with a rope on it. And so you try to like put it down and just run to the finish line, and then you like, yo, and then you got to go all the way back, pick that motherfucker up, and figure out how you gonna move with it. Because you either got to move with it, you got to find a way to minimize it, you got to chisel it down, you got to figure something out, because you ain't gonna be able to get to the finish line with just putting it down right there, you know. So
I love it. I love it. This is a random side note, but I feel like niggas with dreads gonna have neck problems when they get older, because they just be throwing this shit back over and over.
like
Well,
I
I've been watching you throw your hair back. Oh my boy, that boy neck must hurt a little bit. He must have a cramp. He must have a cramp or something.
I try to, you know, whip it back, bro. Like just keep it calm. But it's like sometimes like it's just like you try to make eye contact with somebody,
Nah,
and
I feel you, bro. I feel you. I feel you. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, does anybody want to create a surf team made out of just black men with dreads? We just need to like have a surf team, and it's just a whole bunch of black dudes with dreads, and they just be like, no, I'd be fired, because they're just gonna be like, hang time, bro. And then they're just gonna like roll their dreads to the side. Ain't nobody ever seen that on the surf squad. But anyways, so in the midst of the pandemic, you dropped Summer Nights, which was the project that introduced me to you. That's when we started following each other. That's when I first heard your music. And there's a song on there that's my favorite song. So I wanted to ask you kind of about the inspiration behind it, and just to, you know, talk about it a little bit. So my favorite song on the project was How the Town Is. Can you kind of talk about that, how you created it? I don't know if you remember how you recorded that. Just tell the whole process around, you know, writing that song, getting in the studio, and then what it means to you.
And so like How the Town Is, like that's one of those that like I tell everybody, like whenever I like hear it or somebody tells me that they fuck with it or whatever, I'm so glad, because like that's honestly one of the songs like that I want to be known for, like those types of songs that where I'm really able to just execute, and but I'm telling my story and it's just truly myself. Like, because in those moments I remember I was really just going through it. Like I didn't know, like at that time whenever I was writing that, I believe I was either coming out of homelessness or literally, I mean, like I was either like in the depths and not being able to see the light, not knowing it, whenever that was going to end, or it was like I just like got out of homelessness and it was just like I was kind of recalibrating and trying to figure out exactly like, yo, all right, so in the first line, like use my talents just to catch my balance. It's because like I really hear that beat and I feel like I'm walking around the city. And it's like that's what I used to do all the time whenever I was homeless. And like, you know, I would either be with my homies, but then there were some times where, yo, everybody got lives and things to do and, you know, things like that. So there was times where I would just have to you know, make my own time and, you know, just walk around the city, walk around the town. And you know, like, so the beat just sounded a lot like you know, that feeling of just like walking around for me. And so it was just like I remember actually I was walking around while I was writing that. Actually, now I think about it, like about to walk up to the library, and it was just like, you know, like I just had those moments where I'm just walking and it's almost like I'm surprised that I don't get hit by a car, because like there's not even that many sidewalks in Raytown or nothing like that. But like yo, I'm literally just walking and I'm just, you know, like every line is just flowing. It's just flowing, you know. So it was just one of those things where I just wanted to tell the story in a way that I needed to tell it. Like, I don't know, like I just knew, like sometimes the words just come together in this way where it's just like the inspiration comes from me and I'm just like, all right, I gotta go, like right now, like. And so that's really what, like how that came about, was like the first verse and the second verse came together probably in a cumulative like 45 minutes, like all together. And actually, yep, yeah, about 45 minutes, like about the time that it took me to walk to the library. And by the time I got to the library, it was done for.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's a really great song. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you've never heard any of Damo's music, Damien's music, make sure that you check that song out first, and then go check out the rest of his work. The last two questions I want to ask you is, with that project, how did you come up with that idea around the I guess like the content promotion, the marketing around it? Like, I really liked the posts that you were posting with that to promote the song. So you had like the graphics, the animation, but then you had the music playing in the background. How did you come up with that, or why did you do that? Because I don't know, that felt like that made the project a lot more enjoyable for me as well. Because I was like, I was just watching this like dope art, but then also like your music like went with the art really well. It was just a good mix. So how'd you come up with that?
That was like really, like I appreciate that. That's a compliment, really, because like that's just a lot of studying the game, a lot of hard work and dedication, in the sense of just like I I don't got a big team around me of people that are like visual artists and this, that, the other. I had to figure out like ways to make my music and make with my music, you know, like, and be able to experience my music in a way where it's not just, oh yeah, he's just throwing a song at me. He's just throwing a song at me. No, I wanted it to really feel like, oh, like, and so a lot of times I would just go and research and figure out like the different ways that other artists were making me feel that way. Like I'm a big like, you know, like I'm very much, before I was ever like making music, I was a consumer, you know, so like I take myself back to that consumer mindset and just like, yo, what am I seeing here that makes me feel so engrossed with them to make me a fan or make me feel like they're my friend or they're whatever. And, you know, like I try to just emulate those things in my own ways, where it's just like, yo, like I started just figuring out like little videos, like how can what idea, like I would just come up with, like I would sit there and I would have the song and I would just be listening to the song, and I would just be watching videos sometimes, and I would just like literally like, oh, that clip, yep, I like that clip. And I would keep that clip, and I would, like, and I would literally just eventually I would just have this big portfolio, I guess, of just videos that I can go through, and I can put my little edits on to them or do whatever, and try to just build to that story and that narrative, and also anticipation, for the project, because a lot of that was literally just like me trying to figure out ways of like letting people know, like, yo, I make music and it's about to drop, like, because that was like, before that I had dropped a project on SoundCloud, but I don't know if I was being like actually looked at as like an artist, like, because of the consistency I was lacking there, like going through homelessness and all of that. Like, I wasn't able to always find places to record and stuff. So it was just like, I really just wanted to come correct if I was going to do this. And like, that was just the beginning, really of that process. Was just like, but like I said, I did all of that myself, just trying to like stand out, really. So I appreciate you for like letting me know that that's something that worked, because that's something that I'll be able to pull from again, and be able to like, all right, even if it's just because you fucked with it, like, fuck it, like, I'm gonna at least have you listening to my shit, brody. So
Factuals. I love it. I love it. So the final question I want to ask you today is, being a young man, a young black man, that's an artist, a young black man that's an artist in Kansas City. You've just like many of the other artists in the area, have to go through the challenges of trying to navigate how to build a following, build an audience in a lane that's already so hard to get into. Music is such a beautiful art, but to be able to make money off it is such a challenging, task to complete. And so just having to go through the adversity of being an artist, period, being an artist in a small market, and also, having to have had to go through the process of being homeless, unfortunately. If it was your last day on earth right now and you had to give one piece of advice to an artist out there going through the exact same thing as you, because I can almost guarantee you that there's another black man out there that wants to be an artist. He might want to be a painter. He might want to be a harmonica. I forgot what the thing's called. Harmonica. He might want to do that. He might want to play a guitar. He might want to be a rapper. He might want to be a country singer, and he's, struggling to figure out, how to keep going when he feels like nobody's listening. And then also just the other adversities in life. What's your piece of advice for that individual out there that might be listening to this?
I try to tell my homies, like, that as artists we have to remember that we are, as much as we like do this for our own varied reasons and things like that, that we have to remember that like we do this to be a service to others, so you can't be a service to others if people don't know that you exist, if they don't know that your service exists, if they don't know that your art exists. So like, don't hold back just because you don't think that it's perfect, or you don't think that it's exactly pulling off whatever message that you wanted to pull off. Sometimes whenever you're expressing, it's like it's meant, like, and somebody's supposed to hear that. So, and it's just like, that don't mean it's got to be the end all be all. Sometimes you got to continue to build on that, but like, just go. Like, you gotta show people that you are out here. And otherwise, like, what, like, you like, the art's gonna live forever. Like, if you put it out, like, eventually it might be 50 years from now, but somebody's gonna listen to it and they're gonna realize, like, damn, this is art. Like, this is beautiful. Yo, this is what so-and-so was feeling at like 50 years from ago. This is what they were talking about. And it's true. Like, that that we were talking about it because you put it out, or you drew it, or you did whatever. So it's just like, it's here forever, but it isn't, like, you can't get caught up in the fear. There's fear out here. So it's like,
Hell yeah. Be unapologetic with your art. Put it out there. Don't be scared. Don't let that fear, hold you back from making a decision, because at the end of the day, it's not all about you. It's about serving the community. I love that. That's a great message. Damo, thank you so much today for jumping on the podcast, sharing a little bit about your story. Ladies and gentlemen, you were able to hear his story via podcast, but now it's time for you to hear his story through his music. So for the listeners to be able to do that, can you share where they can find you on social media and where they can find your music?
All right. So it's Damo FYE. I'm on Instagram is Damo.FYE. On Twitter, I believe it's just Damo FYE. On Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere that you can find music, really, like you can find my music. Stream Summer Night, stream Damo's demo tapes, and Damien's demo tapes is dropping September 25th. So like today's the 24th that we're recording this. It's literally dropping in 4 or 5 hours. We'll really be able to kick it. So I'm going to Amir's Titties and Tequila, and by the time I get out of there, my project's gonna be dropped, and we having a whole other party. So you already know what
I love it. I love it. Congratulations on the new music dropping. Can't wait to listen to it. Again, thank you for coming on to the show. You said what?
It's way more personal this time.
Mandatory. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing it. Ladies and gentlemen, go follow him. Go stream his music. By the time you hear this next Friday, his project will be out for a week, so don't wait any longer. This is the Culture Talk Show. Sizzy the Kid, CIZZY, signing out. Salud.